Hey, what's up, everybody? So it is time to go over Day 7 Packers training camp updates. Unfortunately, when I filmed this video, my video file did not end up working out. So today, you will not be seeing me. You'll just be seeing these tweets here, but let's get into it. So we'll start here from Matt Schneidman, who said, Matt LaFleur doesn't expect Marshawn Lloyd groin to practice the remainder of this week, but says it's not a long-term injury. So I think that's good news that this isn't something that seems like it's going to hold Lloyd out for a long time. At the same time, it's just an unfortunate scenario that once again Marshawn Lloyd is dealing with injuries, considering mostly all last year he was dealing with different types of injuries. So it's not a great way to start this training camp because I think all of us were hoping that we would get to see him play football and really start to see what he could offer this Packers offense. And unfortunately, it's going to have to wait a little while, and hopefully this isn't an injury that will flare up as time goes by. Then here from Wes Hodquist, who has some more injury updates. Packers training camp number 7. Both guard Aaron Banks back and Savion Williams concussion protocol are practicing. That's good news. Returned wide receiver Dontavian Wicks calf. Also good news. And then here we have the DNPs not participating. Marshawn Lloyd, which we already talked about. Christian Watson still out knee. Defensive end Colin Oliver hamstring. Offensive line, John Williams back. So 2 rookies there in Colin Oliver and John Williams still yet to practice. And I think anytime for rookies, the more they don't practice, it's unfortunate because this is obviously a very important time in camp for these rookies to start to gain some experience. Then here from Andy Herman, we have the starters today. Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Golden and Dobbs at receiver. So once again, we have Golden there as a starting receiver, which I think for a first-rounder rookie, he's already been playing really good football. He's already seemingly pushed his way into the starting lineup a couple different times here in Packers camp. Then at tight end, Musgrave and Kraft. And then offensive line, Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan, and Zach Tom. So it's great that Banks and Jenkins are now in because about a week ago when Banks was dealing with that back injury and Jenkins was not practicing as well, there were just some concerns there about how long it was going to be until they'd be out there. And so now, still in July, final day of July, we have Banks and Jenkins practicing. So that's good news for the Packers offensive line. And I still think there's going to be some competition, at left tackle and right guard as well. But it's good to have 2 of the most important pieces there. Also Zach Tom, but Banks and Jenkins back out there. And then we have on the defensive line, Lucas Van Ness, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, or Sean Gary. At linebacker here in the base defense, Isaiah Simmons, McDuffie, Edrin Cooper. At corner, Hobbs and Nixon, which has been the same 2 there in base defense, with Valentine not being one of those guys, but Hobbs and Nixon. And then safety, we have McKinney and Williams. Then from Weston Hodquist, who says 2 O-line is Morgan, Jennings, Monk, Telfort, and Belton. So Morgan and Belton, I think, are really interesting to watch just because Morgan being a first-rounder last year, Belton being a second-rounder this year. These are guys where the Packers used very high draft capital on them. And so they're guys that I still think could compete for potential starting spots, at least eventually. And some of the Packers coaches have talked about Morgan competing for left tackle, and that now because Jenkins and Banks are back, that Morgan will get more opportunities outside of tackle. So I'm still curious to see if Jordan Morgan will have that opportunity to, well, it does seem like he's having that opportunity to compete with Rasheed Walker at left tackle, who started most of the games there last year. But obviously, I think the hope would be that your first rounder can eventually get himself into the starting lineup somewhere. If not, then maybe he'll be one of the first backups if things go well this training camp. Then from Andy Herman, Devontae Wyatt, big time run stuff up front. Good to see. Love with a beautiful throw rolling right off play action and throwing completely across the grain far left to Kraft for a nice pickup. Nice little cut inside by Jacobs for a nice pickup. Willis right in the money to Hicks on a deep crosser for a big gain. Then another one here from Andy Herman who says, Love with all day to throw, finds Heath over the middle for about 20. Lucas Van Ness with a pressure on a stunt up front, forces an incompletion. And that's a guy that I'm starting to get more excited about just because it feels like the last practice there was a lot of good information coming out about Van Ness. It seems to be today there was a lot more solid plays by Lucas Van Ness. And that's the one guy where if he can start to play the way that I think the Packers thought he would when they drafted him so high a couple of years back. That's really going to be one of the biggest ways the Packers defense could really take the next step up, because if you're getting production like a first rounder from Van Ness, who the past couple seasons hasn't really produced much, that will really change the way this Packers defense operates. And considering this was a sixth best scoring defense last year, with Van Ness not really playing up to that level, that would change things. So I think it's hard to know if this will translate to the regular season, because sometimes guys could come in, play really well in camp, and then it doesn't translate. But hopefully this translates, because that would be awesome. And then continuing here from Andy Herman. What an unbelievable throw by Jordan Love. Checks at the line, just over the reach of Bullard as the underneath defender. Musgrave has a slight step on McKinney, and Love somehow fitted in for a big catch along the sideline. Then he clarified, correction on this, Valentine and McKinney in coverage, not Bullard. So it sounds like Love's been playing really, really well. And I feel like, the way that I watch or looking at these reports from these reporters differently than years past is because right when Jordan Love comes in, the big question is, how is Jordan Love going to perform? And now we sort of have that question answered. So I feel like throughout camp, I still want Jordan Love to play good football, but we've already seen what he can be. And so that's where if you have some bad days from Love, it's not like I'm concerned, honestly. I just feel like we sort of know the type of quarterback he already is, where looking around the rest of the league, different rookies, even Caleb Williams with the Bears, with Ben Johnson coming in, I feel like there's more uncertainty about the quarterback, whereas with Love, I feel like we sort of know what we're getting. Not that he can't improve or get better, but we know that the type of quarterback he already is. And then from Ryan Wood, I think this may be on the same play here, but just another viewpoint. Jordan Love with maybe his best ball so far in camp. Dropped an absolute dime to Luke Musgrave on an out route down the left sideline. Threaded the final through Xavier McKinney and Carrington Valentine for about 15 yards. Extremely tight window, but Love found it. And that's the thing with Jordan Love. He has the ability at any time to fit the ball into tight windows because he has that arm strength. He has that ability to put the ball into, tight windows. The issue is the consistency of it and making those wise decisions, because when you have that ability to put the ball into a super specific spot and you trust that you can do it, sometimes it doesn't work out because maybe he overestimates what he could do. I mean, you think back to the 49ers playoff game a couple of years back. You can tell that Love's just trying to make a big play on the potentially final drive of the game to go down and win that one. But unfortunately, sometimes you can be too aggressive and feel like you have a guy open, and then turns out it was a bad decision. So good to see Love making a play there. Then from Andy Herman, Love overthrows Heath over the middle. Musgrave with a sliding catch on a slightly underthrow ball from Love. Musgrave is having a fantastic day so far. That's great to see. I feel like he's dealt with a lot of injuries so far, but he's a nice complement to Kraft, where they're two totally different tight ends. Musgrave more that deep speed, not quite as solid after the catch, falls down a little more easily, where Tucker Kraft can carry a ton of guys with him. Jordan Morgan currently working with the ones at LT. Love to Heath for a nice gain on a crosser. Julian Hicks just got to play with the ones. And then here we have from Rob Domofsky, Jaden Reed is now working off to the side. Appears to be getting stretched out during the latest team period. Never good to see one of your most important players going to the sideline. Not sure how serious that is. We'll keep an eye on that injury. Lots of injuries, but that's what happens in football, unfortunately. Then for Matt Schneidman, we're not allowed to shoot rehabbing players, but Christian Watson is cutting pretty sharply and running quite fast on the sideline. So initially with Watson and the ACL injury, it seemed like he maybe wouldn't be back till mid-November potentially, just sort of based on your typical rehab from an ACL tear. But all the comments publicly from different Packers coaches have sounded like Christian Watson is ahead of schedule. So I'm not sure what that's going to mean, how much sooner he'll be back. But maybe he'll be able to be back a month or so after the season starts. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it, but that's good news that Watson is looking good there on the sideline. Then from Wes Hodquist, who says, Van Ness had a very good rush versus Morgan. He's had a nice day overall. So there you have the Van Ness news there with him playing really good. Awesome. Bill Huber, what a catch by Dobbs. Reaches over the back of Bullard for a catch of about 20. Then runs another 15 for the touchdown. Then from Wes Hodquist, Sorrell gets into the backfield for a TFL of Abanaconda in tackle period. And I saw some people asking about Baron Sorrell, about what's been up here, and here he makes a nice play. And so he's a guy that, I mean, hopefully the Packers can rely on. He's a 4th rounder. The Packers have had a lot of success with 4th round picks recently. They just signed one to a massive deal in Zach Tom on the offensive line. Then from Andy Herman, Brinson, nice job resetting the line of scrimmage on a run. Nice day from him today. So another defensive lineman there playing well. Brinson, the 6th rounder. Elgersma overthrow nearly picked off by Greg Jr. Then from Rob Domofsky, McManus comes back in the next period and goes 3 for 3, including 51 and 53 yards, 28 for 29 in camp. I'm realizing I think I missed, I don't think I read the earlier one. Maybe it was from Rob Domofsky. I forgot who reported it. A lot of guys did, including Matt Schneidman. But McManus did miss a kick, unfortunately, so he ended his streak of going perfect so far in camp. And so that next tweet was the one that was supposed to be next, with him going 3 for 3 after missing the first one. I guess I didn't put that tweet in there, but he did miss it, unfortunately. Not a big deal, obviously, but his perfect streak is over. 28 for 29 in camp. Then here we have from Cameron Azir, tough 2-minute drill for the offense. One big play down the middle to McCole Hardman, but outside of that, nothing of note. A lot of pressure on Love, and the secondary shut down everything. Ended in a 30-yard prayer that was almost picked, but fell incomplete. It feels to me, just like my overall takeaways, just from seeing all the different reporters' tweets every single day, like the defense is playing really, really good football. And on the one hand, awesome, because I think that's what you want to see from this defense, especially going into year 2. On the other hand, not as great news for the offense, but I think it's always best case scenario just because the Packers have a great offense and defense, you're getting great competition every single day. Whereas if you had, a bottom tier defense, maybe the offense looks great every single day, but then at the same time, it's like, well, what do we really know if this defense stinks? So this defense does not stink, clearly. They've been playing really, really good football, and they seem to be, doing well against Jordan Love in this offense. Then from Wes Hodgkinson, 2s, Willis tries to hit Musgrave and seam, but Valentine comes off his man to pick it off, his 3rd interception of camp. So even though Valentine hasn't necessarily really been starting out there, it's mainly been, Nixon and Hobbs outside and Bullard in the slot to start. He has come in, of course, but he's seemingly playing really good. 3 interceptions in camp. So I don't know if he'll ever, push to potentially be one of the starters outside of nickel. If Hobbs were to go inside, that would push Bullard out potentially. Not sure, but he's playing well seemingly. Then from Aaron Nagler here, who says, Cornelius Johnson has made a couple really nice plays today. Talented young player. And then to end it off from Rob Domofsky, that's it for practice number 7. 3 wide receivers didn't finish practice. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and Sam Brown. So not sure why. Hopefully nothing is serious, super serious there, because already without Christian Watson, Savion Williams coming back from his injury. So we'll see there. Rashawn Gary with a good day versus Zach Tom in 1-on-1s. It's a great battle. Jordan Morgan took most of the reps at LT with the starters, so maybe he could push Rasheed Walker for left tackle potentially. 2 hours and 5-minute practice. But that's all the updates for today. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.